Hello and welcome to another edition of Goalmouth Scramble. I'm Tom Mortlock, and joining me in the studio to talk all things football as usual. Firstly, Ollie Portlock, good afternoon.
All right, man.
We've also got Jason Hamburger, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And Ryan Smart, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good to have you all on. Let's get straight underway then with what Jason wants to talk about this week. What topic have you got for us?
I'm just going to talk about the weekend's events, specifically England and their glorious 2-1 win over Croatia that sealed qualification for the finals in the summer. It was a fantastic game. I really enjoyed it. It felt more than just a Nations League game. I know this competition's been debated, whether it's important, whether it's not, whether it's just a way of making friendlies more meaningful, and I think it's worked. I mean, you heard the atmosphere on TV, the celebrations when England came back, the players so jubilant in their celebrations. It really meant something, and it was just great to come back in a game like that, because in the World Cup we never had a massive win over a nation. We never had to come back from behind, and the players showed just great spirit to come back. I thought it was a really good performance from England. I don't think we deserved to be behind in the first place. I thought the first half we dominated, missed chances, but we grew into the game, and the second half they started the better, and it was an unfortunate goal to concede, but we never panicked. Substitutions worked well. Lingard came on. I know it was only a tap-in, but he cleared one off the line as well. Thought Sancho also was bright as well, and then Kane. Sometimes he doesn't always get involved in much in the game, but he was there in a crucial moment, and it was a good finish, and I was delighted to see England win, and hopefully we go and win it in the summer.
Yeah, I think that's sort of a characteristic of sort of the England teams of the past, sort of missing chances in big games and maybe not getting across the line. But I think that's the difference with Gareth Southgate's side. You know, when they go down, they know how to sort of get back up off the canvas and keep fighting, keep going. And there's certainly a lot of character in the side. And I thought the way they fought back on Sunday was really impressive. Obviously, first from the long throw from Joe Gomez, which he's done plenty of at Liverpool with that new throwing coach, and then the second goal was a typical sort of Harry Kane finish to get us moving and get us on the right track and to win the game. But yeah, another really good result for Gareth Southgate to cap off what's been a really impressive year for England. And now we go to Portugal next year and hopefully win the thing and get our first piece of silverware for over 50 years, which should be great for the country, I'm sure.
Yeah, I agree with Ryan. I think the stars are aligning. Just received me travel zoo, and top deal is for a trip to Lisbon next year. So I could well be
Get on it.
Right,
get on it.
That's the one. I think we should be.
I'm interested.
Booking our sleeps on the flights. I'm actually quite confident, having watched the game against Croatia. I think Southgate was right in his interview where he said the difference between this and the World Cup was that we had the chances, but we had a foothold on the game.
Yeah.
And we were in our sort of ascendancy for the majority of the first half and second half really. I think Croatia were suffering from fatigue with Vasako having to come off after about 20 odd minutes. And then who else was it came off half time, was it? I can't remember, but some
midfielder, weren't it? I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
Was it Kramaric?
Yes.
Oh, no, he scored.
Was it Rebic? No. I can't remember. One of them came.
One of them.
And you were like, at one point I was getting a little bit worried because we're playing kind of second string Croatia side, and although we were dominating, we weren't that clinical. However, I think we needed that kind of goal conceded to kind of give us a kick up the arse, to be fair, and we really did respond well, and it just felt as soon as that goal went in for them and we started playing our football, that I don't know, I had quite a good feeling. I wasn't really worried or hope hadn't been lost, because I think that's kind of the key change with under Southgate, that all isn't kind of gone and dead and buried once we go behind, because we know that we've got, especially now, the subs, and we look at the subs bench. It was great to see Ali, Lingard, Sancho, all coming on. Callum Wilson, who scored against USA, was unused, and it's nice to see, because we've kind of led in 2018 with such low expectations and exceeded him quite handsomely. So Yeah, I've got to say, I can't wait for Lisbon 2K19 and onwards and upwards.
It just felt a really important moment, I thought, coming back. I agree with you in a way that I wasn't, even though we were 1-0 down, I thought we've actually got to score 2 in 15 minutes. I thought if we get one with about 10 minutes to go, I do believe we'll win it. It just kind of felt like that one of those games. They were tiring, as you said. And yeah, I think it was a really massive win. I think the belief's back in England. The country's united around the nation, around the team. And there's that belief that seems to be back. And I do fancy us, Netherlands, Switzerland, and Portugal, yeah. So there's no reason why we can't go all the way. Netherlands are improving, and Switzerland came back from 2-0 down to win 5-2 against Belgium. One of the results of the year, really.
Yeah,
and Portugal at home, they're always a solid group of players. They're not the most enjoyable team to watch, but they know how to get results. So
yeah, and they're without Ronaldo, aren't they?
Yeah, I think he'll play. I think he'll play
in the near future. Yeah, it depends what happens with.
I think he'll play.
What's going on off the pitch?
Yeah, I think he'll probably play if all is okay.
It seems to be quite similar to the World Cup in that the sort of the big teams like Germany and Spain and all that haven't got through, and that's sort of giving England the path.
I think England are now one of the powerhouses in European football.
Yeah, it shows how it sort of shifted.
We are one of the biggest teams. We want to fear. I mean, look at the under-21s, under-20s.
I feel like we're a bit of a reverse Belgium because we haven't got quite the star quality and individual talent to me that Belgium have, but we've got that team
better
ethic.
Collective, yeah. We are a better collective.
However, we do at the minute. For the World Cup, I'd say we faltered at the kind of one of the final or penultimate hurdle, which I think Belgium have done quite a lot.
Yeah, I think the difference between the two sides is England are on the up, and Belgium have created a golden generation. But I feel like that's probably coming to an end slightly.
Yeah,
while with England, it's not even began. That World Cup, no one expected anything. The draw opened up, and people said, "Oh, we might regret that," but we won't regret it because those tournaments will have better teams. We've already evolved from the World Cup. We now play 4-3-3. We're more compact, better defensively. We've got more attacking options, more width. We're already a better team, and most teams that have a good World Cups or good tournaments, they kind of ease off and they don't play with that same intensity. But we've just got better and better, and I only see England improving. Really, look at the youngsters coming through, the way Southgate's moulding the team. Sancho's on the fringes. I mean, he's kind of phased a few out. Ashley Young's now career's come to an end. Harry Maguire, who I do rate really highly. You look at Joe Gomez, he is the future. Luke Shaw and Ben Chilwell as left back. You've got options all over the pitch. Centre midfield is probably the only issue I'd say. I think we lack that creativity midfield.
I did like Barkley.
We did play well. We actually nullified Modric for the most part. But I look at players like Harry Winks, maybe Lewis Cook in the 21s. They possibly could step in, and Phil Foden's we've discussed him before. He is a star player, and he will be an England player of the future. But maybe we've got to wait a couple of years for that to happen.
What do we think?
James Maddison as well, another name.
Yeah.
What do we think about the? We've got to come to the end of the first group stage of it now. What do we think of the Nations League in general? I think a lot of people's opinions of it may have dramatically changed in that last 13 minutes or so of the England game.
In fairness.
But that shows the excitement that it can bring as opposed to a dead friendly that so often we see instead.
I actually love it. Honestly, I'm not even saying this. I was really up for the game before, and I was really interested because usually when the international break comes, you're like, oh, got friendlies or qualifiers. There's no real meaning, but I don't know, the atmosphere, it was a sellout at Wembley, I think, and I was really interested in the game, and I was actually gutted had we lost, and I don't remember celebrating a goal as much as that since the World Cup, and I mean, the Spain game also, I think the Nations League, I was a bit sceptical when it was first drawn, because I thought, what is this? But when you actually understand the meaning of it, and playing against competitive quality teams, I don't see the issue with that, and I like how there's a tournament in the summer, and it can get you a playoff place. England now guaranteed a playoff place, however bad the qualifying is. I really like it because it's games that actually matter, and I think it's good for the lower nations as well to play teams with an even keel. I think it's worked really well.
Yeah, I agree. I think when I first saw the Nations League, I thought, what's going on here? I read through the rules 2 or 3 times, and didn't have a clue what was going on. But I think as it's gone on, there's teams that are sort of on a more even level playing each other. I think the games have been of really good quality as well, which has helped. obviously you got your Switzerland coming from 2-0 down to beat Belgium 5-2, and that's great to watch for the neutrals. I'm sure. I think it's just gone down really well. I think teams like Germany and who was the other one that got relegated from Group A?
Croatia relegated, aren't they?
Yeah, and one other. But so that sort of quality in League B, that'll be sort of good for the lower teams to face teams like Germany and sort of test themselves.
Poland and Iceland are the other two, other than Croatia and Germany. So,
and to sort of have a sort of platform where you can build sort of momentum and play teams that are on that same level.
Group and going to this finals and Germany getting relegated. Wow, how can't you love it? I mean, how can't you love it?
No, I think it's a great point, Jason. I totally agree. I'm intrigued to see how it all kind of pieces together.
It would be weird though, wouldn't it? If we do win it, do we celebrate like it winning the Euros? I don't think we can.
I think we should.
It'd be sort of like winning the Confederations Cup. It's sort of like it'd be a step onto bigger things. I don't think we can go mad and have bank holidays if we win the Nations League. But it is something substantial. I actually think if we win it, it'll just give us even more confidence going into the Euros summer after and the World Cup in 2022.
Agreed. Although
I'm looking forward to it next summer. Bit of more football than we expecting.
That's the thing. There's always a bit of downtime in summer, and all football fans worldwide are just kind of left.
I'm looking forward to more street parties.
I like your style, Jason.
I think that brings our England chat to a close. But well done to England, and as I guess we've all summed up, really, it's nice to have a bit more enthusiasm both around the team itself and also the competition that they're involved in. Ryan, you're next up. What have you got for us this week?
I've got the recent news of Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane's departure from Ireland. I think they've both been sacked. You have to say it's the right decision. I mean, 2 points from the group and that have Wales and Denmark, and I think it was is pretty poor, and I think it's been on the cards for a while. His record for Ireland's 19 wins, 20 draws, 16 losses out of 55, which you have to say is pretty average. And for a team like the Republic of Ireland, I think they should be expecting better than that. Not relegation, but maybe stay in the group or even promotion. So yeah, I think it was the right move. Obviously, they reached the Euro, didn't they? They reached the playoffs of the World Cup last year, but it's just quite quickly gone downhill for Martin O'Neill, and I think it's the right call to seek a change. I'm not sure who will take on the job. There's not that many options out there. I think Mick McCarthy said he wanted the job. I'm not sure.
I mean, he wants every job that's going.
Yeah, he wanted the Villa job.
There'd be no point really changing from Martin O'Neill to McCarthy. They're similar type of managers.
They need someone sort of who's really going to change Irish football. But it's just who do you put in charge?
It's from top to bottom in Ireland. They are a mess in terms of the structure. They've not got players coming through really, and they've not got goal scorers. Not got attacking players that can win them games. O'Neill did have a good start. They got, as you said, they got to the playoffs last year. They lost to Denmark, and it all went downhill from there. But in fact, they beat Germany to qualify for the Euros. They beat Italy, and they got to the last 16 of that. So there were some good moments, but unfortunately, sometimes it just goes stale. And I think that's what's happened in Ireland. But I just don't know where they go from here. There are issues at the board. John Delaney's been mentioned as a problem. They just need a reshuffle there, and they need something to change because it's clearly a problem bringing in young players. The styles it's similar to England maybe 10, 15 years ago. Or maybe under Sven and certain other managers, Capello. The fans just are watching it, and it's a chore to watch. I mean, they've not scored in over 500 minutes, and they've not won a competitive game all year. It's a style of football that you have to win games for it to be. It's like a means to an end. If you win games, then you kind of get away with it. But when you don't get results and you're not scoring and you're playing that style of football, it's just never going to work. I do think it was the right decision though, because although there is a real poor quality of players in that team, and I do think any manager will have problems, they can play better football, and he wasn't getting the best out of the players. I think also Roy Keane's demeanour and his way of man management, that is just never going to work in international football. There were stories of him rowing with Jonathan Walters and really poor stories that I heard. So it was the right decision, but where they go from here, I have no idea. I really think there's the young Dundalk manager. That'd be an interesting one, because I just think they need to go away from an experienced manager. McCarthy's been there before. We did all right, but I really think they need someone who can build long term, a bit like a Southgate in a way, an Irish Southgate. I think that there are a couple of young players, not many, but if you can get Declan Rice on board, that would be very good, and they can just build a side for the future. Forget short term; they've got to think long term.
Yeah, I think a lot of the fans have been calling for a sort of a domestic bias towards Irish players. Obviously getting players from the League of Ireland. I think that's something they need to do because there is quite a lot of talent there. I think the manager you were talking about was then Stephen Kenny. He's won numerous titles with Dundalk. He's got them to the Europa League, so he's the sort of man they want to look at. I think just going back to Roy Keane as well. I remember when he took the Sunderland job in 2006, 2007, I think, and the amount of plaudits he got for basically inheriting a team that looked doomed for League One and recovering them and getting back up to the Prem. But then as soon as he got sacked, it was like, the players hated him, he had rows with them, and there was just, the dressing room had just completely collapsed. And I mean, there's definitely a good manager in there, but it's just how he can control the players, and obviously he's not sort of done that with Ireland.
He's just not an assistant manager, is he really?
I don't think he's a manager either.
No, but assistant manager's got to be quiet, have a good relationship with the players. It's sort of like good cop, bad cop. The assistant manager is always meant to be the kind of more relaxed guy, while O'Neill's he was more relaxed, and he was letting Roy Keane sort of boss the players around.
You did get the sense that it was sort of a case of bad cop, even worse cop with
yeah,
rather
Yeah.
than
100%,
rather than good cop, bad cop.
It never really seemed like a good partnership. It had to come to an end. I just think they're past their best. O'Neill as a manager, and I think Keane. I don't think he will be ever a manager or maybe an assistant again, but I think O'Neill as well. Those kind of managers, him, McCarthy, Bruce, Allardyce. We've kind of said this before. I've said it before. I don't think those managers really should be getting jobs anymore.
That's a bit ageist, isn't it, Jason?
It's nothing to do with age. You look at.
He said he's past it.
Look at some great managers.
He's only
over
47,
60.
there's still plenty of time.
Well, it was more to do with O'Neill, really. I think it's just more Keane's personality. I don't think he's ever going to to be.
Martin O'Neill's 66 now. So
yeah.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said he was that old.
He's still jumping around in the touchline area.
I'll be
Still
surprised
got
if
energy.
O'Neill got another job. I'll be
Well,
honest.
he did reject offers, though. Apparently Leicester were interested again.
Yeah.
He had a famous job tenure there, and I think apparently Stoke were interested in him.
He does keep teams in the Prem, though,
Yeah,
doesn't he? O'Neill? I remember, I think it was Villa where he did a really good job.
I think he
got
could
them
do a decent
near to
job
the
in the
Europa League
Championship,
place,
to be
so.
honest. But just got more. I think teams have more aspirations now of playing
Younger,
better football. Yeah.
brighter managers.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I don't know. I feel like Northern Ireland, even though their kind of pool of players to choose from is smaller and
Yeah.
poor, well, devoid of a lot more quality than potentially the Republic could have. But to me, watching them, I watched them against Austria, and they looked fine. Like Michael O'Neill has got them really gelled and sort of quite hard work, and they know that they lack quality, but they don't lack work ethic, and they push that Austria side and were unlucky to lose in the end. But I look at whenever I watch Republic of Ireland, I don't see any creativity.
No, there's no ambition to score goals, really. And Northern Ireland, I do agree with that. They have overachieved massively, and that's all down to Michael O'Neill. But you have to say the results over the last year have been poor, and they've kind of reverted to the mean, really. They've gone to what we expected, and they are a mediocre group of players. But to be fair to them, over the last few years, they have been outstanding. The problem with Republic of Ireland is they have such maybe high expectations, I think, where they've had players like Robbie Keane, Roy Keane, Damien Duff, even the years of Richard Dunn at the back and Shea Given. They were a competitive side, and they had a lot of Premier League players playing at top clubs. But now, who is there? There's Jeff Hendrick, Robbie Brady.
Yeah, McLean.
There's just a lot of them are Championship players, and that is the issue. And I don't see how you can be qualifying for tournaments when you're not even got players playing in the Premier League.
I think Coleman's probably the only star, but again, you can't just have one player carrying your whole team. You have to have something else in there, and they don't have it.
Yeah, you can't be relying on a right back who's.
I think you're all forgetting John O'Shea.
O'Shea, can't forget, and he was a great leader.
He's at Reading now.
He's still playing for Reading, unbelievably.
Yeah.
I don't think he
his
played
international career is long gone.
Yes, definitely.
They just don't have a goal scorer. Martin O'Neill said that. He kind of didn't even think about maybe saying, "Oh well, You know, I mean, Shane Long's still leading the line. He scored about 2 goals in his last 5 years.
I genuinely can't remember last time.
He just doesn't score goals. He's a willing runner, but unfortunately cannot find the net. And if you don't score goals, we know you can't win games. So, you know, Darryl Murphy, Shane Long.
Maguire.
I think they played
Hogan.
Aidan O'Brien up front, who's at Millwall. I don't think he ever seems to find the net.
Well, they called up
Michael Obafemi, yeah.
Exactly, and I'm like, they're kind of reverting to players
They
like
call up
that.
Robinson as well, didn't they? And he's not really scored much, but I suppose that sums up maybe the style of play.
Obafemi might get the
been
fans
impressive
excited.
for
I mean, I don't know much of him. I've heard.
Yeah, but he's not played he's hardly played senior football. He had the odd appearance for Southampton's first team, and then I think he may have been on loan at
They also
Yeovil,
called up Leo Connor, who's at United under 19s. He's never played for us, but he's apparently a decent prospect.
Jimmy Dunn on loan at Hearts. I'm like, well, if they're the players you're calling up,
it's desperate times.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Scotland. I mean, I don't rate Alex McLeish as a manager, but he pulled it out the back despite 9 players withdrawing from the squad.
I think Scotland have got more talent. If you look at Ryan Fraser, Andy Robertson, you know,
Forrest,
Callum, Tierney,
Christie,
Callum McGregor,
Steve Fletcher.
They've got some alright players, Scotland. Though. I mean, they beat Israel and.
I've never seen. Like, I don't know, none of the players wow me though. That's the thing. I think Fraser having a good season,
but Ryan Fraser would, you know.
And I'm not impressed with McLeish.
James Forrest as well. No, McLeish isn't.
After that Israel loss, I mean, they were hanging their heads in shame, and you know it's fair enough. But I mean, they came through in the end.
Fair play. They won the group.
It is important to point out, obviously, that Scotland were in a group with Israel and Albania that's Group C1.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah,
and Ireland were in Group B4 with Denmark and Wales. Obviously, Ireland probably should have done better, but obviously they're in different divisions. Scotland, of course, will now be promoted into the B tier, and Ireland down to the C tier. So
Scotland got a good chance of making the Euros now.
They made the playoffs. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I know how that playoff system works.
It is complicated.
That is complicated. That's the downfall of the Nations League. It's still quite hard to explain.
Yes. I think once it's actually been played out, though,
you'll understand in 4 years down.
But until then, I am just like, well, how many playoffs are we having? How many teams are guaranteed?
Yeah.
You know, but I think once it gets played out, it will be all right. But I guess it does give a bit more of a chance and a kind of hope to the minnows.
I saw something today where one of like Macedonia, Georgia, and a couple of other teams, one of those like minor teams, will be in the Euros, which is, I suppose you can look at it in 2 ways really. What I do like about the draw that I think is happening in a couple of weeks, England could face Germany in the Euros qualifying, which
you like that? I'm not a massive fan of that.
I'd love to smash them. They're in bad form. I'd be delighted if we drew Germany. The form they're in, the form we're in.
That's the thing. I mean, against the Netherlands, they seem to be sort of cruising, I'd say, as much as Germany.
Cruising, I see what you did there.
And then suddenly they've pulled a goal back, and then Virgil pops out.
What's the goal? What finish?
Absolutely class.
To be fair, Germany sums them up really. 2-0 up, cruising. They never throw a game like that away a few years ago. It's just complacency with Germany.
Is it time for Lowe
to
go?
I think so. I was surprised he didn't go after the World Cup. I know he extended his contract, but you just kind of thought that. I just think they need a man with new, fresh ideas. I think when you win the World Cup, I think it's the best time to go. I think you should go out on a high and go for a new manager. I know it's hard to sack the man that won the World Cup, but 12 years being there, international job, I just think they need someone. Because I think the players, you know, they've heard the same message time after time. I think they need a new manager.
That's the thing, because they're not short of talent, are they?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Leroy Sané also must be thinking, this man dropped me in the World Cup. He's now restored me into the team.
Because he's desperate.
It's a hard one. It's sort of. I think they need a new manager to bring the new players through, and I don't think Lowe's that man. I think he's still reliant on the old players. I know he's tried to bring, but it's hard when you throw young players in all at once. I think Southgate's done it more gradually than Lowe has. So, yeah.
Do you agree with the notion that like a national team manager should be of the same nationality?
Yeah, personally, I don't think there's much wrong with having a foreign manager, but I would prefer, just because I think they've got more of a connection, and especially if they can speak the language. I mean, I think you've got to speak that language. With the Capello thing, that was always a problem, but. Yeah, I think you should go with the German manager. It kind of you're already on a back foot really, if you're pointing a manager that's not the same nationality, because you're thinking, we've not got the coaches in our country to produce a good manager.
Like Fabio Capello.
Yeah, and Sven and other managers.
Oh yes, Sven.
I mean, to actually go for the belief that Gareth Southgate's the man, and also Eddie Howe is in the future, I think would be a brilliant England manager. I think those are you should be looking at those coaches. I don't see why you need to go abroad. I don't think it makes any sense.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, to be fair. And I personally do agree with you that you should be promoting probably from within.
Cause that's your country, isn't it? I mean, you're England, you're Germany. you want to use your talent. I don't see why you've got to go abroad. Otherwise, it just becomes like a club team, really.
Right, we'll move it on then. Ollie, what have you got for us this week?
Big news in the Football League as they've just agreed a record £595 million 5-year TV deal with Sky. However, several of the Championship's larger clubs are said to be meeting up and discussing over the next few days kind of their next step in what direction they go, because it's believed that they're not too happy with the deal, as they feel it kind of undervalues the league as a whole. And I think what they'll probably do is either suggest to the Football League to their proposals to renegotiate the deal, or for a shorter term agreement, so that they can kind of work out what their kind of approach is to the next kind of phase of TV rights bidding. And to be fair, I mean, I know almost £600 million is a lot of money when you say it like that, but when you divide it up among the 24 clubs in the Championship, and a lot of the, I guess it's controversial, but how it is allocated and divided has caused upset. I don't know, it's hard really, because I know we've discussed about this sort of thing before with like La Liga proposing that every team gets the same, when really Barcelona and Real Madrid obviously get shown a lot, and Atletico Madrid get shown a lot more than the rest of the league, because it's all to do with kind of commercial and the market that they're in, and how appealing they are to the audiences. And I guess it's similar here with the Championship. I agree that it probably should be a bigger sum of money, because I think, what's the Prem at now? Is it about
4.4?
There you go. And you look
billion,
at it, we've not even reached £1 billion yet, and I do believe Championship's probably one of the top 10 in the world. I mean, I'm biased because I
think it's top 5 most watched.
Yeah, well, exactly. I'd say, for how much drama and the unpredictability and the actual entertainment for football and non-football fans alike is fantastic. And I think if you kind of have to compare it to the Prem without wanting to do that, but you have to in terms of money, because the Prem is the kind of the elite, the prestigious sort of it's on a pedestal to where everyone wants to be. And I think the Championship, there's still a gulf, but I don't think it's in terms of money as big as that. For us not to sort of be hitting the £1 billion mark, it's not great. But I'd definitely be in support of clubs kind of proposing to renegotiate the deal.
I don't know how to feel about this story really, but mainly because, obviously there is a massive disparity, but I feel the real issue is the fact that Premier League clubs get way too much, rather than Championship clubs aren't being fairly treated in that regard. So I'm not like fully behind. Obviously, I want it to be fairer, but I'm not I can't get fully behind the idea of Championship clubs saying, "Oh, we're undervalued, we need more." I think as much as this isn't going to happen, the reality of the situation is that's only because the Premier League clubs are paid far too much money, and it's become a far too ridiculous business. I think, unfortunately, I think that's sort of indicated by the disgusting payment to Richard Scudamore. I think that I couldn't believe that when I read it, because mainly because the clubs have had to sort of justify agreeing to that, and their way of justifying it is basically saying, "Oh, he was good, so here's a leaving present." And it's like, well, he's on $2.5 million a year anyway.
Yeah,
and you're giving him $5 million. So unbelievably like, quite often there are things to us that indicate that football isn't, off the pitch isn't, that isn't what it used to be. It's become over commercialised. People accusing people of not caring about grassroots and lower down clubs, etc., etc. But quite often that's sort of, an interpretation of a decision that's been made or an implication of something.
Yeah.
It's never been so obvious, I don't think, as something like, oh, we're just going to give 5 million to the outgoing
It's like
executive.
golden handshake.
Yeah, because here's a present for him. Like, I don't think anything has ever been so sort of blatant in how where the priorities lie for the bigger clubs. So yeah, that was the biggest thing for me. And I think just for this to come out afterwards, it just sort of re-annoys me about the Premier League rather than says to me, right, we need to give the Championship more money. But if the Premier stays as it is, which it inevitably will do, I think it probably is fair on the Championship clubs to get more. But then how far does it go down? Because it's not filtering down to the lower levels or grassroots.
That's the thing. I think there needs to probably be, if there is going to be change, uniform change, and I think the Football League needs to act in the best interests of the clubs, not just in the Championship, but the lower league clubs that are just as likely, or more likely, in fact, to go bust. There's so many kind of financial misdealings nowadays in English football as well as everywhere else that go reported and unreported. And I feel like, unfortunately, it's the business we're in at the minute. Well, in the modern era, as competition has increased, and there's almost a shift, or that there could be this shift towards online and kind of digital viewing rather than Sky and BT getting these broadcast packages, more Amazon and Facebook, who are becoming bigger and bigger threats to these now traditional medias. And I think the competition will keep hotting up, and the prices and the figures will keep rising and rising. I think eventually it will have to sort of implode and all kind of start again, maybe set regulations, and then again those regulations will have loopholes, people exploiting them. But I guess it's the way it goes. But I think it will keep rising and rising, and I totally agree about the Richard Scudamore thing, because at the end of the day, he's been paying £2.5 million a year to do his job. I'm not being funny, but it's not like a volunteering role. It's not a charitable cause.
He has done a good job for the Premier League.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, but enough to give him £5 million randomly
yeah,
at the end.
yeah, I know that.
Like, there's bonuses, and then there's like,
it's wrong. It is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think about like this whole deal? Do you think it's right for Championship teams
to be honest? Unfortunately, you've got to understand the Premier League is a massive, massive product, and probably the biggest brand in sport. Maybe the NFL challenges it, but. You're talking about Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, massive clubs. I know you think the Championship should be valued higher, but is it unrealistic to suggest? I mean, 500 million now,
but
nearly 600
the main
million.
thing is, but with the Premier League being as big as it is, and it's if people want it to stay that way, I mean, what is the point of football? It really it boils down to that bigger question, because
I think
there's no hope.
Equal rights in the TV deal. No club gets more than one other. I don't. Money's crazy now. I think we've got to accept that. But the disparity is now at a point where it's unless a foreign business owner comes in and takes over a club lower down, they've got no hope of ever getting to the Premier League and consistently staying there.
I don't necessarily think that's true though, because you got the likes of Cardiff and Bournemouth who have invested a little bit, but they've not invested sort of massive amounts. I think you can. Obviously, it's not very. It doesn't happen very often now, but I think you can still get up.
But do you think Bournemouth? I think it's even changed since.
Loads of money.
I think it's even changed since Bournemouth went up.
I totally agree.
I think, realistically, do we think the Cardiff are going to stay up? Probably not. I mean, I accept that it will occasionally happen, but I just don't think we should be encouraging an environment where it's more and more difficult for it to happen. I don't think that's fair.
No. I totally agree. I mean, you look at like Cardiff now, they won't be bothered about coming back down because they'll chuck money at it, and that's what every Premier League or former Premier League club does when it comes down. And
a lot of Championship clubs that spend money.
But
it's a closed shop in the Premier League. But in fairness, a lot of these Premier League clubs are now rich, and You've got to get there.
Yeah, but when you look at the Championship and it being, in terms of, obviously you can look at it today and look at it's the most competitive it's ever been in terms of being unpredictable. But in terms of finances, you know, you've got clubs like Preston and Ipswich that are just kind of trying to keep afloat.
Yeah, there's clubs like that, but there's also clubs like Nottingham Forest.
Well, exactly. They've had foreign owners
Sheffield
come
United,
in.
how much are they?
They've got foreign owners coming in,
Sheffield United
and they've
spend much
pumped.
Even Sheffield
I
United have
think
spent
I-
quite a lot.
I don't have too much problem with clubs spending money because they've sort of earned that money. It's the fact that they've
Exactly.
got the money in the first place.
I don't-
Oh,
I
yeah,
can't-
it's definitely,
They shouldn't have
yeah.
that
Well,
money.
yeah.
Agreed,
Well, foreign
but
owners is an issue.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how I can't see how they've earned it if like a Saudi sort of prince has come
Exactly.
in to Notts
Yeah,
Forest.
well, I
and
don't think that's
pumped,
anything
you
to
know.
do with TV deals, really. I don't
No,
think
no,
it's-
no,
I mean, the
but
fact is, Premier League
there's
clubs
different
earn, what, is it
factors.
£500 million each or something like that? Basically 90 minutes behind the camera, and they get that much money a season just for being on television.
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
just
have
a bit
Preston?
ridiculous,
I don't
isn't
think
it,
Preston
really?
have been on TV this year.
No,
They've
we
been on
haven't.
They once against Stoke, but they released a table last week saying that Preston are on the lowest amount of any club in the Championship. I think it's been 4
Unbelievable.
times
Aren't
this
Ipswich
year,
on this weekend?
whereas
They're
Frank
playing
Lampard's
West Brom
Derby
this
have
week.
been on
yeah.
about 20 times.
And I
Yeah,
understand.
Leeds are on every week.
I understand why
Sky
maybe
Sports Leeds.
teams like Leeds are on because
Well,
I guess
big viewing figures. That's why.
exactly, which
club.
is fine. And to an extent, if I was a supporter of Leeds and we were on TV that many times and we were getting the same amount of money as Preston, who'd been on once this season, I'd be mad. However, it does create disparities.
Yeah, well, Leeds aren't
Um,
happy as well. The fans were singing the other week, you know, a message to Sky.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
I think as well, and I saw a graph the other week saying that Leeds, I think, are shown the 6th most out of any club in
Yeah.
England. That includes like the top Premier
To
League
be fair
clubs,
though, the
and
Championship
they get
have
paid
this,
nothing compared to them.
the Championship this year have shown. I mean, I know you've been on TV just once exclusively, but midweek you're on every game. Every club is.
Well, yeah, but that
No,
doesn't make.
No, I know, but I'm saying you are able to watch. You are.
It's like I can watch any Premier League game at the weekend on
You
different
can't, though.
internet. Yeah, you can.
You can't.
They're all on international TV channels.
No,
I
but
can
that's
get
not
it.
available on UK TV. I'm saying.
Well, you can get it on UK
No,
TV,
you
but
can't. Not legally.
well, it doesn't matter because
No,
the
it
people
does, because I'm
people
saying you
operate
can watch
outside the
Preston. You've
legal
probably been
means
able to watch
anyway.
Preston 6-7 times more than you could last season.
Well, yeah, but that's why people are now criticising that, saying that it affects attendance numbers. Like,
Yeah, that's a possibility, but
I mean, personally, at North End, it's been dead for years anyway. So it's one of those where,
yeah, so it doesn't
midweek-
even matter.
yeah, to me, I don't
Away
think it
games
makes
as well,
sense.
you can watch it. It's
Yeah.
it's whatever you think is more important. You'd rather watch your team, or would you rather better atmosphere? I mean, I don't know. To be honest, I think if you're that much of a committed fan, you'll go to the game anyway. So
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. I mean, the other week when we were at home to Brentford in midweek, and I can't remember who I spoke to, but I spoke to someone and they said they'd watched it at home, and I was absolutely shocked. It was a home game, you know.
missed a thriller as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I was like, home game, decent performance, decent game, full of goals, and you've watched it at home. I'm like,
Yeah,
like you live about 10, 15 minutes away. I mean, for him, it would be about a tenner to get on. I mean, come on, surely.
yeah, well,
I mean, you know, it's people that claim to be these huge fans and then watch it on the TV whenever they get the opportunity
yeah.
that kind of ruffle me feathers a bit.
Agreed.
But yeah, so moving on, you got any story? Or what are we doing with you, Tom?
Well, a bit different. I thought that obviously we come on this every week and we talk about the various stories that are going on in the footballing world. But the listeners don't really get a chance to know a bit more about our background in football because, you know, we've all got different backgrounds in it. We've either covered it or watched it, or some of us have actually played, obviously, youth football and still play now in some capacity. So between us, I thought that we've got quite a lot of experience of football games and the like. So I thought on a week-by-week basis, each week, we'd take a different aspect of playing youth football, watching, being involved in some capacity, and we talk about our experiences of it so that the listeners get to know a bit more about us as well as about the sport that we're talking about. My only rule on this is it has to be a game that you've actually been involved in or been to in some capacity, so it can't be something you've seen on the telly or whatever. But I thought we'd start off with something fairly sort of broad and simple this week in the strangest games that we've either been involved in seen or whatever, in whatever capacity it is. And then as we go through the weeks, we'll do a number of different topics and see what comes of it. So this is a bit more sort of free-flowing part of the podcast, and it might end up terribly, and we might abandon it next week, but we'll see how it goes. So we'll start off with the strangest games that we've been involved in this week. So who wants to kick us off? I'll give you an example of what I'm thinking, right? So when I was thinking about this, I mean, there might be better topics than this, but we'll see how we go. But I played left back for my team. I played youth football up to the age of about under 16 level. And I scored 1 goal in 11-a-side football, right? Because I played left back, and in 7-a-side before that, I played in midfield and scored a few. But and I scored 1 goal in 11-a-side, and that was from inside my own half. Now, I'm not sure that many people would be able to say that they'd done that. I mean, it's a clearance. I'm not going to lie.
How did it go over the keeper?
Well, I didn't go over the keeper. Oh, you'll be
Top corner?
No. I've booted it from inside my own half. It's just sort of a punted through ball for the striker to run onto. He's sort of beaten the defender to it. The keeper's come out. Striker sort of wafted his leg at it, completely missed it, and that sort of wrong-footed the keeper. So he's gone to try and anticipate that, basically fallen over, and the ball's just trickled past him and gone in the net. So it didn't look very spectacular, but he
It
missed
reminds me
it.
of that Tim Howard one from a few years ago where he shot, it went all the way up the field, and then Bogdan was trying to catch it and slipped over, and it went
Yeah, exactly like that. So, and the other, there's another one I think sprung to mind. It was on the same ground when I was playing, and but it was a different year. And our striker, same striker who wafted his foot and effectively got the assist in that one, he had a shot that was wild and high, wide, not so handsome, and there was a railway line right behind one of the goals, and it hit a passing train.
I've never heard anything like that.
The train going past, it didn't hit the window or anything. It just hit the sort of like the bottom bit, like above the wheels, but below the window, and it hit the train. So those are the sort of things that I'm talking about. Anything springs to mind, or are we going to completely can this item and move on to predictions?
No, that's bizarre. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to match that, but no, there's one team that I'd heard about throughout my junior football.
Did you play youthful football?
I did. I was
firstly?
centre back because I wasn't good enough to play anywhere else. But no, I was captain for my team for 10 years, and I kind of was a one-club man. Based myself on Steven Gerrard.
So you never won the league then?
Slipped at a crucial moment.
Funnily enough, I never won the league, but I didn't get relegated ever, which I was happy with. However, I never clicked clean sheets either. There was one team that I'd heard about through mates playing at other football clubs throughout my junior football sort of career, and got to about under 15s and played this team they're called Real Mahad for the first time ever. They play in green, and because I think they were from the Deepdale area of Preston, and if you don't know, like the Deepdale area of Preston's predominantly a Muslim community, and so we were playing all them, and they were very. We won by a resounding margin, but they were very aggressive, and they had this one kind of, without wanting to be politically incorrect, this one white guy in the team, and he was the most aggressive of them all, and you could tell something was going to happen, and because our linesman, one of the dads for us who lined for him, had to give a talking to a couple of their dads, and there was a couple of flashpoints in the game where the referee decided not to give a penalty after me centre-back partner kind of just took his legs out. And we got to the end of the game, and then we were putting the nets down, and suddenly this one white guy in their team went and picked up 2 corner flags and started chasing the shortest player in our team around the pitch. It was really weird because I give a shout out to him, Matt Regan. He was a stalwart like me at the club, and I don't know. It was one of those. We went shaking hands and everything, and this white guy got really angry, and he started chasing around our little guy in the team, and I think we had to try and split it up a bit, but it went a bit later at the end of the game, and I presume he got banned and maybe banned for life. I don't know, but
Abuse to corner flags.
That's the thing. I never heard of him or the team again. Never even saw him. It was a complete and utter mad game, really. But I mean, we got the win in the end and 3 points.
Oh, no, 3 points. That's
3
right.
points all that matters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know. In terms of one that I watched, the one that came to mind was Preston versus Swindon under Paolo Di Canio's tenure. Yeah, it was a bit of a leery game. We won 4-0. After 20 minutes, he subbed keeper Wes Fotheringham.
I remember that.
Yeah, and he comes off the pitch and wasn't happy with the decision, decided to kick bottles everywhere, and the home fans were all taunting him. And then I think it was either their third goal, maybe the fourth goal. Our third or fourth goal. Jay McKevley, former Derby and Premier League
And Ipswich.
fullback, and
Was
Ipswich.
an own goal.
It's he. I mean, spectacular. I thought it was quite spectacular, but he managed to chip his own keeper from a pass back, and by that point, it was getting a bit comical. We had to remember being sat. I wasn't sat in my usual seat. I don't know why, but I was sat near the top of the Ellen Kelly Town end, and it was going absolutely mental just because it was a lovely summer's day. Well, I think it was in August, and it was going raucous in the town. Well, as raucous as it can get, and it was a great win. But it was just the weirdest game I ever watched because Paolo Di Canio had heard these sort of stories of his eccentricism as a player and as a manager, and I kind of got to experience it live. But yeah, it was. I mean, I couldn't stop laughing at what was going on, the antics. But yeah, it was a great day as well. Another 3 points and a 4-0.
Another 3 points. Yeah, that's in the bag.
Yeah, I've got a few. To be fair, I've played football for years, but I can't actually think of a strange story. I don't know why. It's probably all because you roll into one. But watching football, United, a few mad games I've been to. I can only think of one incident. I was at Bolton about 10 years ago. There was a guy next to me and he goes to his mate, I'm going to roll on the pitch. So we're like, all right then. A minute later, he was on the pitch. Mooney to the Bolton fans, pulled his pants down.
Oh, Jesus.
And then also last season, the famous game City versus United 3-2. Why it was strange was that at half time, we saw a few people walking out the stadium, United fans, because they'd already accepted their fate and they thought the game was done. I mean, how would they have felt after the turnaround? I was thinking, I drove to that game and I was thinking, and I said to a few of my friends that we were going to leave had City scored another goal. So at 3-0, I would have been gone. Thankfully, we stayed there because we obviously came back. But it's strange how matches can just change like that.
You'll never leave early. That's
Never
right.
leave early.
Never
It
leave
happened at
early.
Palace that as well, didn't it? When you were 2-0 up
Two.
later on in the season, then Matic scored it last minute and everyone had walked out, so they missed it.
Yeah, a few people would have left because traffic with London, all that stuff. I think people
Yeah.
left at 2-2. But yes, never
Fair
rule
play.
out United. That's
Nice.
the answer.
Ryan, got anything for us to add?
I've not much from the playing side because, as you may or not know, I've got very dodgy knees, so I don't I don't
Fair
play
mate,
very
fair
often.
play.
But in terms of watching, I think probably the strangest game would have been Preston versus Cardiff in I think 2009, where we were in 7th at the time and Cardiff were in 6th, and they were about 15 goals ahead of us in goal difference, and we needed a proper, remarkable set of results to overhaul them. So the game starts, it's 0-0 first 20 minutes, and then we score one, and the goals just roll in, and we win 6-0 in the end. Cardiff just completely collapsed. They just lost their heads completely. And then it comes to the end of the season, Cardiff lose both their games. We win both our games pretty resoundingly, and we sneak into the playoffs by 1 goal in the end. And then obviously we know what happened in the playoffs. We got beat by Sheffield United in the semis, but it was just remarkable that we turned around such a massive sort of disadvantage and somehow got into the playoffs.
I remember that game. It was quite
Yeah.
funny.
I remember 2012 season when City won the league in the last minute. I remember about 3 games before that, they'd overtook us because they beat us at the Etihad 1-0. Company scored. The game later, we were at 10 goals behind them, and I remember us playing Swansea. I remember Ashley Young scoring and getting ball out of the goal and picking it up and running to the centre circle and placing it on the halfway line. I expected something miraculous to happen. That was at 2-0 after 15 minutes, and it finished 2-0. So, yeah.
I've just had another one of my playing days. I can't believe this is the case, but Jason's reminded me because he's talked about someone mooning.
Jesus.
We with my team, we had a connection with a team in France, so we'd go on a French exchange, and then they'd come to us. So sort of every 2 years, and it happened with different age groups, but it happened with our age group sort of once each direction. And when we went to France, and one of our as you can imagine, it's got a wine region of France, so it's basically a weekend of the kids playing football and the dads and a few mums getting drunk, or at least slightly tipsy. So so we got there sort of on the Friday, sort of as you imagine, drinking in the Friday. Then there was like a five-a-side football tournament with lots of French teams on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday was sort of an 11-side game between us and the main team that we were exchanging with. On the Saturday, one of our coaches, they'd all got it was getting quite hot, and they'd got their tracksuit trousers on, and two of and what they'd often do is they'd put their shorts underneath.
Yes.
So that they've got both options there. And two of the main coaches decided to take their tracksuit trousers off, because it was getting too hot, and they had the shorts underneath. And the other coach, who was also a dad and was sort of prone to quite funny mistakes and things like that, he went, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I'd do that as well." Pulled his tracksuit trousers down. Of course, then remembered that he'd forgotten to put his shorts on underneath. So standing in the middle of this pitch, just like decided to show. I don't think, as I say, I don't think the alcohol, the amount of that it consumed had helped at the time. But that sort of sprung to mind.
One game I wish I was at was in 1994-95
Great.
season. Manchester United 9, Ipswich Town.
Oh
0.
yeah, here we go. Here we go.
Great viewing for an Ipswich fan.
Oh,
5
yeah.
goals for Andy Cole that day. 5.
Do you know whenever it's so weird? Like whenever a team goes 3-0 up in the first 20 minutes, usually it's Man City.
Yeah.
Like then there's
Against United.
people on the Ipswich Town Twitter, the hashtag just like hashtag free the Ipswich 9. Like it comes up every. It's only 3-0. It's half time. Oh, it's got to happen this weekend.
I'm surprised City haven't broken that.
I know.
Many games
Whether it
yeah,
ever will be broken, I don't know. Speaking of Ipswich games, there was another one actually. I went to, but we beat Crewe 6-4.
Jesus.
It must have been like 2006 kind of time. And me and my dad are walking back from the game afterwards, and a guy who obviously hadn't heard the result and hadn't been, just randomly in the street, sort of said, "Oh, it seemed that my dad was wearing a scarf or something." And I'd asked him, "Oh, what was the score?" And he said my dad said 6-4, and he didn't believe him. Like he had to stand there and actually convince him that it was 6-4. He's like, "I don't believe you," and walked off.
Have you ever run out of a stadium and then run back in?
Why would I do that? I don't leave early,
Basically,
Jason.
under David Moyes, the great era of that United, we played Sunderland in the League Cup semi-final, second leg. First leg we lost 2-1. Home we were 1-0 up, and we were holding out until extra time, and then they scored to go 3-2 up in aggregate. It was a De Gea mistake. So I left the stadium in disgust because I was like, "Oh my god, like this is done." We're throwing it away to Sunderland. And then I hear cheers when I'm walking down the stairs, and Hernandez has scored like 30 seconds later, so it was going straight to penalty shootout. This was in extra time actually. It was going straight to a penalty shootout. So I ran back up the stairs. About 100 people did it, and then watched the worst penalty shootout in history, where remember Phil Jones skying one over, Darren Fletcher only scoring. I think it finished 2-1 to Sunderland after 5 penalties. It was horrendous.
I don't think I've ever left a game early. Honestly, I can't. I don't think I have.
Only a few. I mean, back in the day when we used to win 4-0 every week, I used to leave maybe 91st minute or something like that.
Yeah.
Just to get home quicker. But
Just on the 6-4 one you were mentioning there was one involving us a few years ago at Leeds under Darren Ferguson, probably the one highlight of his entire reign. We were 4-0 down, I think, after about 30 minutes. It was unbelievably. And then John Parkin comes up with a hat trick. I think Keith Tracy scored as well. And we win 6-4 somehow.
Really?
And,
I
and
actually
that sort of bided him a bit of time. And then he got sacked a few weeks later, and we got relegated. So, it was a great season. But that was the sort of one highlight of the season.
Yeah.
The one game I'll sort of always remember from that his reign in charge.
To be fair, it does live long in the memory of us because, Leeds are just, well, I mean, who does like Leeds, but you know what I mean?
Apart from Leeds fans, yeah.
And Sky.
And Sky, yeah. But no, I don't think I have. Well, actually, there's only one time I've ever left a game early. It was Newcastle away in 2010. And I didn't go to many away games back then, but it was absolutely treacherous journey there and back just because it was snowing. I don't know why, but it was snowing in the northeast, and it wasn't impressive. And it was back when like Andy Carroll and Jonas Gutierrez and his skill played for him.
Alan Smith.
Yeah, that's the one. And we were just getting battered, and I was just so like, great. I was happy to stay, but it was cold, and my mate gets vertigo, so we left. We left early. Probably was the 90th minute, 3 minutes added time, and we're walking down the stairs, and we did hear big cheers, so we went back up, and it turns out Newcastle scored a fourth Ryan Taylor goal free kick, so it kind of ended. It kind of topped off our misery.
4-1, I think it finished.
That is definitely one of the subjects for future weeks. Times you felt actual fear in a football stadium. I don't just mean about the result. Just like,
hey, that's a great. Yeah, that is a good topic.
I was just like,
because I mean,
I've never heard of someone get vertigo.
Well, no, because St James's
Is that
Park.
high up, isn't it?
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
St James's Park is awful for that, isn't it?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know why they put themselves high up, because I'd be. Well, I'd probably see can't hear.
I think you got beat 3-0 that day.
Yeah. Patrick Van Holt played in that team.
Did he play for Newcastle?
Yeah, he was.
In terms of fear, it wasn't genuine fear, but when
I actually have felt genuine fear.
What?
But, yeah. No, I mean, there's mitigating circumstances. I was like 5 at the time.
So.
I was 5 at the time, and I got my. You know, when the football seats are a nightmare for getting your leg caught down the.
Of course.
And I was stuck there for a good 5-10 minutes.
You're joking.
It's like, yeah, that was a scary moment for me as a 5-year-old.
Yeah, fair play. To be fair, I'd be pooing me pants. Yeah. No, I mean,
I thought I was going to have to leave the stadium with the chair still attached to my leg, but no, they scraped me out and then missed the kickoff. It's so weird that you remember the game. We were playing Derby at home. I was 5. I can't believe I remember that.
Yeah.
Anyway, has anyone else got any more stories on that, or shall we move on to Premier League predictions and then do another topic next week?
Predictions, I think.
Predictions it is then. Right. I haven't got the scores on me at the moment, but I can remember it's very close. There's like 3 points between.
I think me
Top
and you
bottom.
were top.
Yeah.
I was bottom.
But yeah, but it's like
There's
literally
nothing in it.
it's 3 points in between all of us, so it's almost irrelevant at this point. With lots of the season still to go. So if I just get up the fixtures, let's start off with the first game, as that would make sense. Brighton against Leicester.
Brighton against Leicester.
Yeah.
Crikey, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Just because I think Brighton at home on the seaside. I don't know, I think they'll be backed well. I'm thinking Leicester, they'll show some promise in the game, but I don't know. I just don't think I can see them this week getting past Brighton just because of the international break. They're a bit rusty.
Mm. Leicester got a couple of injuries. I think Maddison might be out, and also Harry Maguire's injured. So I'm kind of leaning towards Brighton, but I was also thinking that 1-1 draw. I'm going to go 1-0 Brighton, just because of that home factor. They are a good side at home, and Leicester got a few injuries, so I think it could be a tough one for Leicester.
Yeah, I think Brighton are in good form at the moment. They've had a decent start to the season. I think Stevens is missing though for them this weekend, unless he's had his ban rescinded, which will be a big miss for them. And I just fancy Leicester to pick up the 3 points here, get a good sort of morale boosting win away from home. So I'm going to go 2-0 to Leicester.
I'm going to go for 2-2 draw. I think this will have goals in it. It'll be an exciting one. But also, I think, as you say, if it was at Leicester, a very different result, I would have gone for a comfortable Leicester win. But Brighton are notoriously good at home at the moment.
It was a disappointing result for Brighton last time out. I'm watching that game against Cardiff. They were completely on top for the first half an hour, and then a red card just changed the game. And the whole momentum shifted, and Cardiff somehow managed to grab a win. It was a last-minute goal from Sol Bamba. Big win for them.
Soliman. Great play.
Everton Cardiff is next.
Everton at home.
Yes.
In that case, once again, I do struggle to look past Everton, despite Cardiff showing a lot of spirit and heart to sort of get a result last time out. Everton, I'm quite impressed with. I was quite impressed with him against Chelsea.
Very good defensive showing, I thought.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go 2-0 to Everton. Yeah.
I'm the same. Home banker, really. It'd be a big shock if Cardiff managed to pull anything out of that game. But Everton have been good. I've always been a big fan of Marcus ever since he came in the Premier League with Hull. I remember his first game being at Old Trafford. And they did lose the game, but they beat us in the second leg. But we still managed to get through. But I've always rated him as a manager. And his only weakness has really been his defensive discipline, really. His the way he kind of sets teams out. It's usually on the front foot, and at times they've leaked a lot of goals, but they were very impressive at Chelsea. I think deservedly got a draw. I like Richarlison, and they've got some good defenders as well. Michael Keane's impressing this season.
Yerry Mina as well.
He's only played that one game. He thought he was alright.
Alright, yeah.
Digne, I like him as a left back, and he's got a good left foot, good cross of the ball, gets forward.
He's got himself back in the France.
Yeah, well, Mendy was injured, so.
Oh, I was wondering why he was.
Yeah, but he's a good player. They kind of the structure's a lot better there. They seem to enjoy the football this season. The fans are supportive of Silva. So yeah, got a good home record as well this season. I'd be surprised. I'm gonna go 2-0.
Yeah, I think Everton have plenty of goals in them. I think they were impressive at Chelsea as well, getting that clean sheet. I fancy him to get another one here, but I think it's about time that they really sort of thrash someone and put a lot of goals past someone. So I'm going to go with 4-0.
Crikey.
I'm going to go in between those, so I'm going to go 3-0 to Everton. Cardiff not exactly brilliantly backed in that one by us there. Fulham Southampton. It's a tricky one, this. 20th against 17th.
New manager. It's got to be Fulham.
Ooh.
You've got to support the new.
I've got to say, if Fulham at home, yeah.
Yeah.
Fulham. I just think though. I think we'll see a new Fulham in the next few weeks. I really think they'll be all right under Ranieri. That managerial change had to happen. And I think Ranieri will get them going. He's had the international break. Southampton. I see Hughes as a dead man walking. I really do. I just don't see him getting through this period. I'd be surprised if he's there at Christmas, I have to say. But I think Fulham. I think they've got the players to get out of this mess. They've got quality. They've got Sefton, Mitrovic, Schürrle. I know the defence is a mess, but I don't think that's that hard to sort out. I think they'll win. I'm going to go 2-0 Fulham.
Yeah, I have a feeling this one will be last on Match of the Day this weekend. It doesn't sort of fill you with excitement, and I think the result will probably reflect that. I'm going to go with 1-1. I think Ranieri will have a positive impact, as Jason said, but I don't think they'll pick up the 3 points, and I think Southampton will really take anything at the moment. They've been in really bad form, so yeah, I think a point apiece will be probably a fair result.
I think I'm going to sway towards Jason.
Good man.
I do think Ranieri, he's had a full kind of week or so, 2 or whatever, to prepare him and get to know the squad. I'm probably going to go for a 2-1 to Fulham. I think they will concede because they like to concede a lot. But I feel like he'll get the best out of players like Vieto and I think Schürrle and Mitrovic will carry on the good form as well.
I'm going to just simply because defensively neither are brilliant. So I'm going to say, particularly Fulham obviously, but I think they will win 3-2. Just looking at the table, actually, it's completely irrelevant. I probably should mention this when we come on to Huddersfield. They've scored 6 goals.
Who's that?
Huddersfield in 12 games. Just that it
Concern.
stands out so much. I mean, Southampton and Palace have both only got 8, Newcastle 9, but even Cardiff and Fulham, who are either side of Huddersfield in the relegation zone, have scored 11. So it shows you where Huddersfield's problems lie.
Unbelievable, me going with the Fulham clean sheet there. A lot of belief in Ranieri to turn around quickly, but Southampton can't score either.
No,
Well, in fairness, they were unlucky not to win the other week. Charlie Austin obviously
Park Life.
explaining that to the media, but yeah.
So Man United, Crystal Palace is the next one.
Take it away, Jason.
All I am is praying that Wilfred Zaha's still injured, because if he's injured, the record goes that Crystal Palace lose. That's, I think, happened 12, 13 times now. Every time he's played, they've not even got a draw. So if he's out, also I hope Wan-Bissaka's injured, because I really rate him as well.
Wait, what's the record with Zaha?
I think 13, 14 times Crystal Palace have played without Wilfred Zaha since he's been in the club.
And they've never won.
And they've never got a draw, never got a win.
Wow.
So they didn't play. What was his last game? I think Tottenham, he was injured. They didn't play, and he lost. It happened at the last couple. They are simply a one-man team. Watch them come to Old Trafford and Sorloth scores his first goal or something like that. But
I do like
in all seriousness, if he's out, he might be fit. I don't actually know, but I'm hoping he's injured. If he's injured, I'm going to go with United 1-0. Real boring scrape.
I do love the fact that Jason was just basically starting to run through the whole Palace team, hoping they were injured there.
They're two best players, Wan-Bissaka and Zaha.
Wayne Hennessy, I hope he's injured.
I don't care about the other 9.
Scott Dan, I hope he's injured.
Wilfred Zaha's out. We should win the match.
Fair enough. Right.
Yeah, Palace. I think the problem with Palace is the recruitment's been so poor over the last few years. I think they brought in Mats Meyer, who was pretty well hyped. He's not really had as much of an impact as he would have liked. Sorloth works hard, but I don't think he's scored a goal yet in the league. And as Jason says, they rely way too much on Zaha. But I think even if he is playing, it should be a pretty comfortable win for the Reds, and it'll be a 3-0.
We just never beat anyone convincingly. I mean, we never play well for more than 45 minutes. It's usually having to go behind to go and actually turn up. But hopefully it's a nice convincing win. Palace are in awful form. There's a little bit of pressure starting on Hodgson now. They're not far off, and they're only a point above the relegation places. They are 16th, 17th, so they are in a little bit of trouble. No one's really discussing it. Unfortunately, I think he needs January, and I think he needs a striker, because they're not winning games, and they've not even played. The times I've watched them this season against Arsenal, they played well, but they've not scored a goal at home from open play. It's all 2 penalties against Arsenal. That's it. So they need a striker and someone to actually put the ball in the net.
I'd have to agree, and that's why I'm going for a 2-0 win. More so just because I think Tony Marshall will probably turn up at the second half again. And
in great form at the moment.
He is, but I do agree with you that, you only play for 45 minutes, but, we
outclassed by City.
As for Palace, all that's been said, I totally agree with. So, 2-0's fine for me.
I'm also going to go 2-0 Man United. Watford, Liverpool, next.
Tasty game. I think actually this will be a high-scoring game. Believe it or not, I think it's going to be 2-2. Mostly because I don't know. I just get the feeling. I remember this game last year. Liverpool played alright, but I think there was a couple. One of the goals was very lucky to go in. And I feel like Watford this year, they've been overachieving, but I think they'll definitely go out to give Liverpool a game. And I don't know. I mean, Liverpool have had a half-decent defensive record this season, but I just get the urge that Troy Deeney or someone will score a goal.
Have Liverpool played well this season? Because I don't actually think they've coasted through a couple of games, and the defence has been really good, but I've expected more from them. I know they're unbeaten. It sounds weird to say.
I think it's like that's been an encouraging thing for them. The fact that
Maybe.
they haven't, because I don't think I agree. I don't think they've hit the heights of last year, but they sit second, 2 points off the top, and not lost.
They've been boring in a way, which is a good thing, to be honest.
I think more solid. Yeah.
But they were very poor in Belgrade, and that could cost them qualification. But I don't know. I've got a funny feeling about this. I think Watford might pull off a shock. Liverpool have been unbeaten, but they're gonna have to lose eventually. And Watford, to be honest, Watford have only got 5-6 more games to get the rest of the points for the season, because they don't play well after Christmas. They're a first half of the season team, they'll probably get about 35 points, and then that'll be it for the rest of the season. So, yeah, I've got a feeling they might pick up a win in this. I'm going to go 2-1 Watford. Watch out for a shock at the Vicarage Road.
Yeah.
The Vicarage Road.
The Vicarage. At Vicarage Road.
I think I agree with Jason, actually, in terms of Watford have been really impressive so far this season. I think Jerry Grassi has come in and really sort of changed the style of play, changed sort of atmosphere around the club, and they've sort of reverted to type last couple of weeks with the defeat at Newcastle. It wasn't the greatest performance. They do tend to start well and then drop away, but I think this season might be a bit different, and they'll sort of keep it up for a bit longer under Grassi. I think he's getting a new contract as well, which will sort of help them out a bit in terms of stability. But for this game, I'm going to go with Liverpool win. I think Watford will run them pretty close. I think it'll be 2-1, narrow win for Liverpool to take back to the North West.
I'm going 2-0 Liverpool. West Ham Man City is next.
I'm just going to go for a City 1-0 winner. I mean, unusual for City not to score more than 2 or 3, but I don't know. I think West Ham will, again, Pellegrini will want to prove to the City fans probably that he can still do a job, and he'll try and do a job on him unsuccessfully.
Yeah, international breaks can actually, after that, you can get some strange results. I think that could that could be the case at Watford, but City are too good, in my opinion, to drop points at any game. I personally think, I mean, people said it last year, but I really think this year they could stay unbeaten, because I don't see any team that can actually get the ball off them and mount any attacks and create chances. Maybe there'll be a game in near the end of the season, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're beaten before Christmas. They weren't beaten last year at Christmas, but I think it could be the same this year. I think the squad's also massive. I think they'll be another comfortable win. I think they'll win 2-0.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think West Ham will really have any sort of answer to City's attacking play. I'm going to go 3-0 to Man City.
Yeah, I'm going to say I agree with Jason. I'll go 2-0. Saturday evening game, Spurs-Chelsea. Arguably the biggest game of the weekend.
Definitely.
I thought... I remember when they played the last big game at Wembley, when they played City, and they were kind of not clinical there, and I feel like it could go the same way, but I do think they'll get something out of it, so I'm going to go 1-1. But, you know, I find it quite hard to predict this game.
Spurs have been similar to Liverpool, but probably been highlighted a bit more, the fact that they're just winning without playing well, and you got to credit them. But you know, they're going to have to start improving the performances, really. They've got a few injuries. The Vertonghen's out. Midfield, Dembele's also out. So you know, unfortunately, you know, if you don't improve your squad for the summer, then you're not going to be as strong as you were last year. But I think this is a chance of, you know, Chelsea also unbeaten, and you know, I think this will be a draw. I think it's very hard to separate the sides, and they'll both be competing for top 4, really. I don't see either side mounting a challenge to win the title. Definitely not, but I think it'll be a draw. I'm going to go 1-1.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to call, this one. I think Chelsea on a really good run of form under Sarri, and they look pretty unstoppable at the minute, but it just has that feeling of a game where you feel like Tottenham could snatch it, obviously, at Wembley. Sort of the majority of the crowd will be on their side, and I just fancy Spurs to nick this one. I'm going to go 2-1.
Just looking at in front of me the table, the Spurs haven't drawn a game so far this year. So for that reason, I'm actually going to go for Chelsea 2-1 win. Bournemouth Arsenal next is first of the Sunday games.
Tough game this one to predict. Should be a good game. This actually strikes me as being the best game of the weekend. Arsenal's game's always entertaining, and Bournemouth have just been so good this season. It's a really tough.
I'm going to go 2-1 myself.
To
Arsenal. I know it. I think Bournemouth are good at home, but I just think the way like Arsenal played against Fulham, like they kind of counteracted their style of playing. I feel
Bournemouth are a much better team though.
Agreed. But you know, they've got a couple injuries themselves, and I don't know. I just feel like Arsenal kind of work well on a small pitch as well. I don't know.
Yeah, Arsenal. I mean, I didn't see the game against Wolves, but obviously they snatched a draw. unfortunately, Arsenal, they are a work in progress, and we can't expect wonders from them. I think this is a really tough game. A side not too far away from them in the table. Been one of the highlights of the season watching Bournemouth play. I'm going to go, maybe another surprise result, but I'm going to go with a Bournemouth win. I'm going to go 2-1 Bournemouth.
Yeah, again, it's another one. Both teams pretty good to watch and pretty good form as well, but I'm going to go with the Arsenal to win 2-0.
Okay. Wolves Huddersfield. Oh, sorry, I haven't done mine. Oh, sorry, I've written mine in and didn't read it out. 3-1 Arsenal I've gone for.
Oh, wow. Wait, what did you go for, Jason?
2-1 Bournemouth.
Fair
I've
play.
gone for Arsenal and Liverpool to lose, actually, so it'll be interesting to see if I'm right.
Yes. It will. Wolves Huddersfield is our penultimate game this week.
Well,
Why is this on TV?
I'm going to go
Champions League, isn't it?
for 2-0 to
True.
Wolves. Huddersfield can't score goals. Wolves at home are fairly solid, and that's why I put Willy Bolly in my fantasy team. Clean sheet, 6 points
Good
Yeah.
shout.
all day long.
As you said, Tom, before, Huddersfield do not score goals. They did get one against West Ham, but did not win the game. It was a draw. I think Wolves went on a tricky spell, and then they got a good result against Arsenal. Probably should have won the game. Heard they were terrific. Again, home game. They're also quite good defensively, so I'd be surprised if they didn't get a win. I'm going to go 2-0 to Wolves.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the same. I think Huddersfield, any results they have got this year is where they've won by 1 goal and keeping the opposition out. But I don't think they'll keep Wolves out, and they won't have any answer. So I'm gonna go Wolves. Slightly surprising maybe, but to win 4-0.
4-0! Incredible!
Wolves 1-0 I'm going to go for. And finally, Monday night's big clash, Burnley versus Newcastle.
1-1.
No, classic.
Oh,
Not
God.
a classic, not a great game,
No.
but I don't know. I can't pick a winner out of it.
This is awful. This could be an absolute shocking game.
Worse than Cardiff Huddersfield.
No, that was that on TV? No, was that on TV? No, it wasn't on TV. That one. I think it was just 0-0. It wasn't televised. That. Watching Burnley is a chore. Watching Newcastle is a chore. So what are we gonna get? Have to go 0-0.
Yeah.
Just have
Yeah.
to. I mean,
Might have to come down to that pub quiz again because I'm not sure this one will be a great watch.
Yeah.
I don't know who's more likely to win. I think Burnley haven't been good at all this season. They're looking really short of quality going forward, and they're quite leaky defensively, to be honest. They've not had that structure and unit they had last year. Newcastle got 2 back-to-back wins for them, so it'd be interesting.
I
But I
am
think
tempted
Benitez
to
would
say
take a
Newcastle.
point there. I think he would. I think Newcastle will stay up. Burnley probably in a bit more trouble, but with the fact there are Cardiff and teams like Huddersfield in the league, they might just escape the bottom 3. But it's gonna be a poor game of football.
What
Ryan?
score you having?
Yeah, what?
I went 0-0.
Yeah, Ryan,
Oh.
you?
Yeah, I can't see there being many goals in this one. I think Burnley's problem sort of the defence is quite aging now. I think Matt Lowton's near 30 and Stephen Ward feels like he's about 40 now. I'm sure he isn't, but
Joe Hart, what season he's having, by the way?
yeah, he has a really good season.
Despite can't see.
Maybe that reflects how badly
Yeah.
Burnley's defence have been. That he's had to save
Been
that many
been
shots,
busy,
but
but he's made some
he's
good
done
saves.
well. Yeah. Newcastle, they've won the last 2, haven't they? They're sort of gaining a bit of form now, and I do actually fancy them to pick up a 3rd win, so I'm going to go 1-0 Newcastle.
And I'm going to finish up the podcast with a 0-0. There we are. Well, that brings us to the end. Thanks very much for joining us, guys.
Cheers.
And thanks very much to you who've listened as well. We'll be back next week, hopefully, with more news and hopefully some more stories if we can think of an appropriate topic for next week. But until then, from all of us here, it's goodbye.
Goodbye.